I see a couple people's been popping in and out here. My apologies for being a little late. I was speaking with a source, and I've had a lot going on this morning. But excuse me while I stuff my face. We're gonna have some conversations this morning, and we're gonna talk about this meeting yesterday. Uh, 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I am back. Make sure I'm still here on the screen. Okay, sorry about that. I am back. We're going to talk about the land use meeting specifically yesterday to start out. A lot of you will remember from yesterday the two specific things that happen that are out of the ordinary. And the first one is Cruz voted 2 developments down. Now, I've been talking to a lot of the public, and I have been telling people for the longest time that I think Cruz is an alright guy. I think he is a person that knows more than he lets on, and I think that he definitely has more of a grasp of a lot of the understandings and things than a lot of people realize. That's fact number one. Number two, he does not, and it's very noble of him to not want to open the county to needless and senseless litigation just for the fact of proving a point, like we've seen other boards do. And I respect that. I honestly do respect that a lot. I think if you ask my personal opinion, and this is all personal opinion and things that I perceive as fact, but most of this is personal opinion. I want to make that extremely clear here in the beginning of this stream. This stuff is my personal opinion. It is stuff that I perceive in the way that I perceive it. This is not me speaking on behalf of an organization. This is not me speaking on behalf of my job or anything like that. This is just me speaking me. Okay. This land use meeting yesterday, Cruz proved to me that he is starting to have a change of heart, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, that is just factual because of the simple fact that he voted down 2 developments or GDP changes consecutively. He previous had never done that before. Never done that before. Okay. That is something that I don't think any of us were expecting yesterday. I definitely did not expect it when we were talking about Pope Ranch. The way that he started his deliberation for Pope Ranch, I thought it was in the bag for them and that they were going to get the pass. Now, I'm going to say it like this. That meeting dragged ass yesterday. Okay? That is the way that I'm going to say that. That meeting dragged yesterday. I was there in the chambers at 9 a.m. yesterday. Okay, I was there. I didn't know what time I was going to come up. Left work, went in there, and I sat down. Now, they had some other stuff going on in the early morning. I get it. They were just trying to rock through the agenda. The thing is, the Terra GDP change where they were talking about, this started in the 60s, and the type of development project it started out as is something that was super old. It was super uncommon. Like most of that stuff is gone. Like it's done. It's been done away with. That stuff was really interesting because literally these people that some of which you saw on the screen, took a dolphin charter bus from basically Sarasota from their community, got picked up and brought down to the commission building, administration building, and got let off for this meeting. And they filled 95% of the seats in the chamber. There was a massive amount of people for the Terra development. So that took forever because there was like 10 of them that had 10-minute presentations. Okay. Then we had the Salt Meadows thing, or excuse me, the what was the Salt Meadows? It was whatever that development is right there on the corner of 301 and 62, and it goes all the way down to Spencer Parish Road. Crosswind. That's what it is. Crosswind Point. Okay. And unlike how Cruz and Phelps pointed out that essentially what was going on was that X developer had X issue. X developer decided to solve X issue with selling the property to a developer. It was 100% what happened. They provided and they by the developer provided stub outs in the hunch that future properties would be connected to their property later on down the line. So with that being said, this person decided to take advantage of that. They went through their own process with their own engineers and their own people to see about getting the property developed. They went before the board and the board said no. You know, and they said we are not unopen to it being a house an acre or a house every half an acre. You know, I mean there's tons of options out here that it became very apparent, and they even asked this with Pope Ranch, that these developers, and we all know this, and this is an obvious fact I'm fixing to say, they are in it for the money. They are not in it for providing a quality product. Again, all my opinion. The thing that I'm gonna say about Pope Ranch, and we're gonna kind of deep dive into this, but I'm gonna try and keep it consistent, is that this is in an area that is primarily floodplain. It was 100% underwater during Debbie. And I'm gonna call him out. I'm gonna say exactly who I'm talking about. I do not give two flying ducks about what Ed Vogler says. I do not care about what Pat Neal says. I do not. You're not gonna tell me that I did not see what I seen. And a matter of fact, I'm gonna put this out there for the public. Give me just a minute. Let's see here if I can open it up. Could the other day. Where you at? Are you serious? No, I can't do that or I'll lose the stream. Rats. Okay. I'm gonna post them on my Facebook page. Anybody that wants to see the pictures, I'm gonna post them publicly on my Facebook page, on my creator page. But I do not care what Pat Neal says, and I do not care what Ed Vogler says. And this is again all my opinion, because I know for a fact that they are wrong. That property 100% was mostly underwater during Debbie. That is a cold, concrete fact. There is no disputing that. When I tell you, and if I remember correctly, go back and look in A Perfect Storm, the trailer. There was water up to the bottom of full-size street signs. Now, Manatee County, granted, they have a lot of stuff they're fixing, and I am not dogging on the Public Works Department, but a lot of the signs that were still standing after the floods got knocked over during Milton, because Milton was primarily a weather event. And when they got snapped off and they got broke off or whatever, blew over, Manatee County's solution was to just basically take the same sign, don't replace the piece of metal that it was standing on, and just jam it back in the ground. So all the points of reference that we had for the flooding after Debbie that we could go back to have changed. And that's street signs, whether that be stop signs, curve ahead, one lane bridge ahead, whatever the case is. All of those signs are now shorter. And I don't know if the county's going to go around fixing them or not. I probably doubt it. It's probably going to get put on the back burner. But that's something that a lot of people should know. We're talking about signs that, to the one sign that I'm referring to, if it's in that trailer, and I'm pretty sure it is, that thing was roughly, the triangle, like diamond piece, was roughly to the bottom of my head. Now I could probably stand pretty even with the middle of the diamond. So it's kind of interesting on that front, that a lot of the markers that we were using to, accurately gauge how bad it was in the area and this and that stuff, that we, the people that don't have access to all this instrumentation, go back to, is all changing now. And that property, for years, for the locals that know, what's happened over the years with that property has always been wet. It's always been flooded. And even Pat Neal, during the planning commission meetings, has talked about, well, I sold that property to the Popes, and I've had a contract with them to develop that property later on, and this and that. It's all these inside, underhanded deals that degrades the quality and the system as we know it today. And I'm going to 100% guarantee you that the fact that the two developments before this came about, the Pope Ranch development, and the fact that they were not sitting in that chamber that morning like they normally do. They are normally sitting in there all day. Everybody's ready to go as soon as it's called up, everything. And they were not at this meeting. They were doing some sort of strategy session yesterday morning, having a recap, taking a look at all their angles, taking a look at everything to give that A+ performance that they gave. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is that 9.4.1.1 that I talked about during my presentation yesterday. That 9.4.1.1, go and read it. You can look up all of Manatee County's LDC online. It's all posted online, and that specifically states that in areas of known flooding, they are allowed to up their requirements. Now, when you're telling me that a project is coming before you as a board, and quasi judicially, you are only allowed to look at X thing, and this is just my critique of the way that all of this stuff has transpired. You are supposed to be judged on X thing. This is what you are giving approval on for rezone. Then that is all that applicant should show at that time. Then when you go further through the process and you come up with, okay, well, I've talked to staff in this area about this drainage and we have this conceptual for your reference, so that way you understand where we're at and what we're thinking, which is what they gave during this presentation. They gave all of this up front, hoping for an approval based on good faith. That's one of the things that Ed Vogler likes to say, is based on our good faith here at Neal Communities that we provide a quality product and da 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 da. That's what they're hoping on. Then, in my opinion, that opens that up to the interpretations of the evidence that you have provided. And their product, according to the direct email conversation that I cited in that meeting, does not meet land development code standards. And with those two developments getting denied beforehand, and now you've had all of these citizens, I mean, some, emotional testimony, some evidentiary and emotion and subject matter testimony comes forward, and they lay all their cards out, and we have the situation that happened, like just happened. You have essentially taken everything away from us as citizens. I'm going to tell you that right now. And we've done everything that this commission has asked us to do, 100%. You have taken away all of our power in order to get this development denied. This Pope Ranch development, screw that. Not even just this Pope Ranch development. Any developer or development that comes in this area right now needs to be denied, blanket denied, based on the merits that we have serious drainage issues in this part of the county. We have serious road condition, level of service issues. We have no transit. And this is the other thing. I've been mentioning it. I've been saying something about it. Nobody wants to follow up with me on it. The county has already publicly admitted in the sewer department that they are running at capacity in North County facilities, and that they're going to have to spend the money to put in another sewer treatment facility, a wastewater treatment facility in our sector of the county to help facilitate with the needs of all of the development. That is why if you call them and you talk to them about where the force mains run and what streets they run under, in the parish area, the force mains only run from 301 down 675, and then it makes a right-hand turn down Rye Road. Okay. They cannot physically add any more onto that wastewater treatment system without overloading the system. That is their words, word for word. Everything that's there is all that they can handle. And we, for the longest time in this county, have taken the fact basis of, we will get to it later. That is what every other board's fix has been. We will get to it later. Let the next board deal with it. The flooding problem's not our problem. The mucking of the creeks is not our problem. Sorry, my computer keeps timing out. The ditches not getting cleaned out because of budget is not our problem. The roadways getting resurfaced and widened and accommodating for extra development, it's not our problem. These are all things that the county has provided to do for the people of Parrish, the people of Manatee County, all over the county, except for in areas that the developers have meticulously went through and done what they call a master developer community. Like, I'm gonna give you a really good example. SMR. You know, SMR got the cream of the crop when it came to buying out the Taylor Fulton Ranch. And they essentially became a master developer of a lot of Lakewood Ranch, and a lot of it is developed by the same people. And so they have a master set of plans of all the different things they're going to stick in all the different areas, and they paid for it. That's 100% why most of the way Lakewood Ranch is because it essentially was done privately, and there was some county intervention in there. The fact that they want to develop Parrish into being a bedroom community, and they're saying, well, we're going above and beyond, and we're doing this, and we're doing that, and we're being the leading charger in this industry. Some direct quotes from yesterday is all, in my opinion, a bunch of horse crap. It's not. They're not. They're really not. What I quoted yesterday is exactly what I think they're trying to do. If you honestly think about it, it is smart. Why would you not want to stick $250,000 houses in the middle of multi-million-dollar properties and further classify that area as moving from urban to residential? Like, because when you think of Parrish, like it's like rural. Some parts are kind of urban on 675, and then you move into like the really residential parts, right? Like, or I guess some of them would be considered the suburbs. They'd be suburban, right? That'd be the correct term. Why would you not want to put more $250,000 houses with all these buzzwords in the middle of these multi-million-dollar properties in order to drive down the property values so you can buy more houses to put more houses on that land? Look at Rye Road. There was those 3 houses on the left-hand side of Rye Road, if you're going towards 64, that they were decent sized properties, had nice houses, some of them had cows, and what did they do? They all got bought up. They went in there, they tore down the houses, and they're putting a subdivision right on top of it right now. You're watching them build it out there on Rye Road. And it's smart, because once you start putting in all these public amenities like sidewalks and multimodal and all this other stuff that Cruz and Tal and all the rest of them been speaking about up there on that commission, then guess what? It makes it more valuable to the developer and less valuable to you. Your property value goes down because you don't have all the stuff that these other people have. Would you be available 2:30? Okay. And the fact that if you, and this is the thing I hate about this whole process. People like me and everybody else that's probably going to watch this video, unless you're like a lawyer or something like that, when you go through and you read that land development code, or the average person, reads that land development code, they read it as it is read. They read it literally. What it says is what it means. But when these developers go through and they read this land development code, all they see is the loopholes and the variances and the things that they can ask to be changed on later. And they know what the county will and will not use in order to reject their development. The fact is, and I'm gonna publicly state this, and I hope that what I'm saying is true. I hope that the board proves me right, not because of what I'm saying, but because what I'm saying is right, just based off of the way that I've interpreted the land development code. And I'm also betting that Neil is not going to spend the money to develop a system designed to that standard, but the county staff has explicitly stated for this development to go through that they would like to see a 500-year, 24-hour storm event modeled to NOAA Atlas 14, which I believe is around 18 inches in North County. And he has even said at one of the planning commission meetings, staff has some really great ideas, but some of them are really expensive. And we would like to use the profit that we would be making from this community in order to subsidize the mortgage so that way that they're affordable housing. That's how he does it. The supposed money that he's supposed to make off of it, he puts in $150,000-$250,000 into the houses to supplement the mortgage. Well, I got a stupid question for you. If you're building a house that's technically $350,000-$400,000 and you're putting somebody in it for a $250,000 mortgage, which is about where he said that these houses would be, then how are these like first-time home buyers and stuff, because that's what he's going for. He's going for FHA. How are they going to be able to afford the property taxes and stuff on these properties? Like, if you think about most of your first-time home buyers, they're people that are like me. They're younger, or they're working like a blue-collar job, and they've been renting, or they've had per diem, and they travel a lot, stuff like that. Maybe like a teacher, low salary, whatever the case is. I mean, I think I could probably speak for most people right now. Like, we're living paycheck to paycheck, dude. 100%. You might be able to save a little bit back every month, but does that really, you know what I'm saying? Does that really help you out? Like, I think that's kind of putting people in a hole, in my opinion. Something else that kind of got my goat yesterday was that all the arguments that we made against that development applied at the time, because of what the developer said and what they requested for. They continued it to no time certain. That means that this item can come back at any time pursuant to the notice requirements. They have to re-advertise that it's coming back up. I'm pretty sure this is what they said in the meeting. So this could come back in December. It could come back in February next year. It could come back in July, August. Nobody knows. And the fact of the matter is, and the real reason why I put this this title on this video, because I'm almost willing to bet money on it based off of the stuff that I've been told by very credible individuals, various different places, is that I would almost be willing to bet that certain people behind the scenes orchestrated what we seen on camera. Because there are certain people in this county, I have some very interesting friends. And one of them plays golf with the governor. Now, previous boards, you didn't hear anything about the governor coming in and taking away this commission or removing people from their seats, or they were worried about, people being removed until recently. And that's because this board's pissing a lot of people off. Plain and simple, this board's pissing a lot of people off. And we as constituents need to make sure that we are supporting our commissioners. Now, I'm going to preface that with the fact that certain commissioners on that board, I honestly think they play a really, really good game. Thank you. You finally approved my post a couple hours too late. Anyway, they play a really good game up on that board. But if you pay attention to how certain people vote on that board, and Cruz was one of them, I noticed it. When that board has a voting decision that comes up, and he was nice to me yesterday, I will say that. But if you noticed, Tao votes like Ron votes. They are hand in hand when they vote. And Tao, from what I can understand, is making very calculated decisions in order to do a higher office position. So he is trying to be on both good graces, because anybody that reaches higher office will tell you they have to get funding from these developers. When Governor Ron DeSantis was, and this is not a political thing, this is just a facts thing. I want to make that clear. I am not saying my affiliation, though it's pretty freaking obvious which I am with. But when DeSantis was going to run for president, he was going to Baruf's house. He was going to Neil's house. He was going to all of these powerful individuals that are in the spotlight all the time to get these developments done, and going up to Tallahassee and talking to legislators and things like that, behind the scenes, moving the puppet around and around so that way they can get what they want. And that's why we have this stuff in legislation right now that limits boards on what they can and can't do, and what they can and can't say, and what they can and cannot approve. That's why you see all this legislative stuff. And if you want my honest opinion about factually how accurate it is for them to be sticking their noses in our business, they are farther from this board and these people and this environment than they could ever be, way up there. Nobody knows Manatee County like the people that live in it and the people that work in here every day and see the conditions. You and this is another tangent I'm gonna go off on, because it ties into the situation. You as a developer can sit there and tell me over and over again that you've ran computer simulated models on how your design is going to work and what it's going to be like and what it's going to do and what it's going to this and what it's going to that. It's a computer model. A computer model works with parameters. No matter what somebody wants to tell you or dispel to you or anything like that, a computer model works on parameters. And that model is only going to do what you tell it to do. It's only going to perform as you tell it to perform. Hold on just a second. And I do not care what that computer model tells you that your design standard is and that it's going to perform to this or that. Your standard is not going to hold up to Mother Nature. Just like they said in the meetings yesterday. Your standard's not going to hold up. It's not. Mother Nature always finds a way to make it abundantly apparent that it is in control. It's always going to make it known that they are the ones that cannot change nature. No matter how you would like to change nature, nature's always going to win. And my thing about this whole situation is, man, and you hear it all the time. I am not dispelling that there are modern marvels of engineering out there. There is the Hoover Dam, there is all of these feats and all of these things that people well before all of this computer technology and all of these things, people like me, people that were, people that were able to pull this stuff off by the knowledge in their head and what they knew, like the Panama Canal, it is a marvel. It is something that somebody said could never be done, and we literally did it. And my thing is like, I understand that the world's changing. I understand that the times are gonna be to where more and more things in our lives get automated. The world's just moving that way. But since when do we take a computer's word over what a person that has personal experience and knowledge? Because, and something else I learned from Tal the other day. Tell you this little fact. I learned that as a quasi-judicial judge, a quasi-judge has the privilege of either accepting or denying and disqualifying fact based off of their opinion. In other words, you can come before that board and say that you're a subject matter expert. And you can give your diploma and all the projects you've worked on and all this other stuff. And I can still choose not to accept what you say, even if what you say is actual legitimate fact. It is becoming more and more abundantly clear to me as we grow deeper and deeper into this endless rabbit hole that all started with literally freaking out and having to run for our lives from a storm that they said was not going to be an issue, to and wanting to know why that was the way it was, and getting involved in my community and starting to really pay attention and getting into this stuff for the right reasons, to understand how in depth this stuff really is. Because this stuff goes way further, it goes way deeper than I honestly think anybody really realizes. There are more carve-outs and more, open to interpretation and things than people honestly realize with this stuff. I do my full-time job that I'm at right now off the clock. And then I go home and I do research and I call people and I talk to sources and I then verify that with other people and then I verify that through research. And I don't think people really truly understand how much work goes into this stuff. I really don't. And then for me to find out that all the time and all the knowledge and things that I try and go to and educate the board on could be just a simple matter of that particular person has a beef with me and they don't like me, so they're going to disqualify what I say, is honestly bullshit. It's wrong. And I'm gonna say this publicly. I had a conversation with Cruz one day on the phone, and I asked him. This was about all this development stuff, and I said, "Look, man," I said, there's been more times than not that the public has come out for stuff and you guys have just pretty much unanimously administratively approved a project. And I said, listen to the racetrack story, for example. Think about the racetrack story. Cletus McFarland, aka Garrett Mitchell. A lot of you guys, he's come back up into popularity again. I mean, he really didn't get unpopular, but he kind of faded out until he started driving NASCAR. And I mean, that dude's making a killing. He's making a lot of money. And the dude, I mean, he's wicked talented. He's got a team of people behind him, and he used his following to make literally every available effort to try and get that SMR um, development blocked. But even he's had all these people come out. He had thousands and thousands of emails. He had people lined up on the Zoom ready to go, ready to talk about that. And what happens? They gut the call-in comments that just recently came back out from underneath of them. So that took away those people. And all these people came and came and came. And what happened? He basically said that it was pretty much abundantly clear that he was not going to win the argument. And so he went to the developer and he talked to the developer and he made a concession with the developer to have a clause in or stipulation in their deeds that they were knowingly buying next to a racetrack and they did not have any preface to try and get him shut down. And we're talking about thousands of emails, thousands of people coming to the chambers, flying in, coming to the chambers to speak. I mean, packed house and thousands of people on the phone. And even Cletus and McFarland could not get this particular development stopped. And it was outside of the FDAB. A thing that Carol just loves to go on about. The FDAB, the FDAB, the FDAB. And the policy associated with it. And I want to be careful how I say this. I think Carol is a really good person. Again, we're all still talking about Pope Ranch and stuff, but I think I like Carol as a person. I think she's a really good person. I don't know her personally enough to really say that she's a friend or anything like that. I know of her. I've talked to her, and that's about the extent of our friendship / I'm a constituent and she's a commissioner. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a personable deal or anything like that. It's not favoritism, none of that. I want to make that abundantly clear. Okay, let me let the stream come back up. Okay, let me let the stream come back up. Okay, I'm sorry about that. That was my boss. Because again, I am still here at work. I'm just not on the clock. I'm gonna have to go take care of something really quick, and I'll take you guys with me. But give me just a second. Okay, I don't see him yet. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, I like Carol. I think she's a good candidate. I don't have a very personal relationship with her, and I think that keeps me objective. And the thing that I want to say here is that with the Ballard situation, and I'm glad you brought that up, Handy, because that's what I was just fixing to get into. This is not only how I feel, but this is how a lot of people feel. And I'm going to make some accusations, and I don't have any proof of it, but I'm going to make some accusations. And if somebody can FOIA this information, I highly encourage you to, and to let me know what you find. But I believe that there is people, like I said, behind the scenes that are manipulating certain individuals in order to transpire the things that have transpired recently. Essentially, Bearden, he sounded like he was at home. Okay, Bearden is sick. He has to call in. McCann had some shingle stuff going on. He had to call in for a while. That stuff is understandable. I understand that our personal lives come outside of this commission, and we have personal things that go on and all of this other stuff. But at the same time, when you know that you have a developer that's difficult to deal with, and that he likes to play games and make things difficult for you. Good morning. Sorry about that. One of my coworkers was asking me a question, but um, Bearden sounded like he was at home, and okay, what I was saying was, I understand, people have lives and stuff outside of this and all that, but when you have a developer that is a pain in the ass and he likes to come up with unique solutions that essentially enable them to certain rights and stipulations because they know of the ins and outs of the commission a little bit better than I think even some of the commissioners do. You run into what you run into yesterday. Ballard had to leave to go do something with her kid. You heard Cruz say that she had a 6:30 hard stop. She couldn't be on the Zoom any longer. This and that. Okay, well, that's being said, you are a commissioner. You are an elected official. You need to have your ass in that fucking seat, and you need to do what you were elected to do. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. When you have a scheduled thing that you are saying you're going to be there to help make quorum and help to be a commission, you need to have your ass in that seat. Nothing else comes before that commission unless somebody's fucking dying or you've got a medical emergency or whatever. Okay. I know Ballard's married. I'm sure her husband could have handled it. If it was something that absolutely, could have not waited, then don't come to the meeting, in my opinion. Just not be there the entire day or call in the entire day and make sure that you have a stable internet connection or data connection that you can be on the commission, because Ballard ultimately, whatever way you look at it, is Ballard fucked us yesterday. She 100% fucked us, and she didn't start dropping off the Zoom, and she didn't start having connection issues or whatever the fucking case was until specifically after Cruz said that he was going to be voting down the Pope Ranch vote. And I am a I remember Cruz and them talking something about she dropped off, but it wasn't like said very loudly. Like I didn't even really hear it. I just looked and seen them talking about something, so I don't even know how fucking Ed Vogler knew that she dropped off the stream, other than she had dropped off, and then Ed's like, well, do we have a full board? And they were trying to get her on there, and then he's like, well, she just dropped off 4 seconds ago. So with that being said, that's a little suspicious. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would honestly want to see 3 individuals, both county and personal cell phone text message records, and see what's going on behind the scenes, because nobody was really. I mean, there's certain people coming up there and saying something to certain commissioners, but there's something going on behind the scenes right there, bro. There's no other way to say it. And for the audacity of certain commissioners to sit there and talk about, well, your job is to be on this board and and all this other stuff. Okay, they took a 5-minute break, and then when you come back, you say, okay, we've got 5 minutes before she has a hard stop. She has to get off the phone. She has no other time left. Why in the